In these hottest days of summer, it feels like the rainforest stands still. The mornings are bright with noisy parrots and dancing mist, but in the middle of the day, the animals quieten and the only place to hide from the heat is deep in the hidden recesses of the jungle. Here, where hundreds of berry pools drip down the mountainside and waterfalls cascade, everything is calm and still. This life of solitude deep in the rainforest has taught me the importance of how we balance our time. Each day I wake and choose to spend my hours caring for animals, tending the land, growing food, and lately learning to build. The last few months have been occupied entirely on building my rainforest art studio. It has been such a journey and I'm actually getting so close to finishing now. Teaching myself these skills and caring for the earth has filled me with such purpose, but with living in nature, I have also learned that not every moment can be spent growing and working. Moments of in-between and rest are just as important as moments of growth. So I spend these hot afternoons by the water, knowing that these moments of rest hold as many teachings as the trials and work of building and living with the land. It reminds me that growth happens inwards as well as outwards, and when we take time to pause and reflect, this is when we give ourselves space to expand.
Just spin around in me and I can feel their movements. I will wander now beyond the endless street, among the stars, far beyond the clouds above. The open sky will be winding deep, flowing into those that beyond our minds.
I'm all refreshed now, so it's time to get the goats from their paddock. Hopefully they haven't been too naughty.
There's certain jobs, like collecting the goats and skipping home with them, that I never get bored of. Their joy always brightening my day as they bounce home with full bellies and rub against me for a cuddle. The rain comes suddenly at this time of year. Often you wake up to a rainy day after what felt like endless sun. On these days, I sometimes feel more inspired. The cozy rain is the perfect environment to create in.
The next job is this bathroom. So this is a plant stand that our dad made from a wrought iron single bed, and we thought it would make a really nice vanity for a sink. So my plan is to combine the structure of this plant stand and make it into a vanity. So basically keep it as a plant stand, so that's all of these plants growing up it. But it's also where you wash your hands, and if you spill a little bit of water, it just waters the plants. This whole bathroom is outdoors, so it does get wet out here, but it's okay because it's a bathroom, so it doesn't really matter.
But as quickly as it comes, the rain clears again and the sun comes streaming back into the valley. Making a bathroom vanity is definitely something that I've never done before, but this whole build has been a big series of impossible tasks that I couldn't imagine myself doing. And at this point, I'm kind of used to facing the fear head on and just attempting it. The worst that can happen is that I build something a little ugly, and I'll still learn in the process. Learning is just doing. I could research this for years and still not feel confident, but if I slowly attempt it, I can learn as I go. With this project, I'm prioritizing being neat, which is something I'm not usually the best at. I'm making many different templates and then testing them and editing them as I go, perfecting the shape so that when I cut the real thing, it is perfect.
So I don't know if I'm going overboard with this, but I really want it to be neat. So I've made, this is my third or fourth template. I'm pretty happy with it. It's actually quite tight. I hope I'm not being too neat that it's not going to fit. But I'm going to then put that onto this template, which is like a longer version, so that I can make sure that I get the measurement between these two right, so that this board fits into there.
I never know if I'm doing these things the right way, but if I just try and sometimes fail, I normally find out eventually the best way. I think that the ability to learn is something that's often disregarded. We think of skills as singular sets of hobbies, interests, or work, and we forget to see the larger picture, that if you can learn how to learn, then any skill is achievable. I think that learning is often just approaching something with no ego, expectations, or rigid plans, and just attempting it.
I can't do it. Woodwork is hard. I can't make it, like, there's always a gap on whichever side gets bent. Like, obviously, it's not straight in the center, so the two sides just don't line up because they're not straight. And I don't know what to do, and I don't know how to make it straight, and I don't know how to make it not have a gap in the middle, and I'm sad.
Of course, there's times when it all feels too hard, but this is probably when you learn the most, when you have to solve a problem and shift your plans. And then there's that feeling when you work it out for yourself and you feel so proud. With all of the rain and sun, we get these foggy mornings. As the cloud rises from the mountainside, I like to find a place to watch it all. And of course, Happy the duck normally waddles by and joins in the fun. These mountains shift so subtly with the seasons, always different. In autumn, the eucalyptus trees release oils that combine with dust, and the mountain shadows become deep into a blue that is as thick as lapis or the twilight sky. In winter, the cedars lose their leaves and return as red shoots highlighting in the sun, sparkling across the horizon. In spring, the mountains become bright pink in the afternoons, the last light soaking them in a thick pastel haze. And now, in the summer, they are often woven in mist. Sometimes it moves fast and shapes appear and disperse quickly, and sometimes it moves slow and the fog covers them like a blanket. I watch the mist in awe every time it forms, and I have never seen a morning the same. Fog moves like brushstrokes, artfully framing the mountains. It dances in the light and rises and falls as it repels away from the sunshine. Finally, it fades, and we're left with a cloudless sky and a sun-filled forest. Watching these clouds always brings me energy and inspiration for the day ahead.
We have gravity-fed water, and I've just turned the tap off and drained out the remaining of the water, so now I can take apart this tap and kind of fit it in right so that it all looks nice. So I've taken the tap apart, and now my plan is I'm going to put the bench on here and then just check where I want the tap, and I might put a hole through the wood so that the tap can go through the hole. Or I might just put the tap to the back. I haven't decided yet, but that's why I've got it, so I can move it around and check where it's best.
The wooden slab that I'm using is some old wood that I found from a leftover project a long time ago, and then I'm joining them together using glue and an old floorboard. These are my dad's old clamps, and they haven't been used in a very long time. Some of them have handmade handles, and others are worn from use, etched with handprints of all the projects before. It feels so meaningful to be using his tools again, learning from the stories held in their shape.
As I work, the cockatoos are just screeching above, and it's so beautiful to just listen to them have fun in the treetops. This is the sink that we got off Facebook Marketplace for $80, which I'm so excited about. It looks so good in place. So now I'm gonna draw the circle that I have to cut out, and I'm gonna use a hole saw to cut it out.
I'm quite a small woman, and my body isn't great for moving heavy things, and I don't have much strength, so this is where I come across most of my problems and frustrations. Just moving something becomes a huge task, and often me and my mum, who is much smaller than I am, need to move big things. I think though that these obstacles have given us a good sense of problem solving. With our tiny bodies, we can't do anything the easy way, so we're forced to think outside of the box and come up with these elaborate plans instead. We have techniques like using leverage of a shovel to make something lighter, and honestly, we've learnt so much from this.
So I've run into another problem where this leg came out because this piece of wood had rotted and this leg was sitting in it. So I have to replace that, but it's quite interesting because I'm looking at my dad's old technique of making this, and he made this probably 20 years ago. And I feel like I'm learning from his weird little ways of doing things. It's not conventional, that's for sure, but it's very smart. So instead of, because you can't weld cast iron, he had put up a piece of hardwood in the bottom of here, screwed it into this bit of metal, and then had a hole cut through this piece of wood that then this sit into. And so I'm going to replace it. I'm going to do that again because I can't think of any smarter way to do it. I think it's quite amazing.
In this build, I've learnt so much more about my dad, from inspecting his craft and learning from his ways of doing things. I think it's beautiful to know that everything we create can tell our stories for us when we're no longer here. It has made me realise that we are what we create. We can weave our knowledge, lessons and stories into our creations.
So much for keeping the floor clean in here. It is messy.
I used to have a thing against pre-drilling my screws to make it easier. For some reason the extra step felt like too much work, and I preferred to struggle for way longer than using this simple solution. I am very proud of myself for now making these things so much easier with a simple pre-drill. On my way home from the studio, I always end up getting distracted. With ducks pecking at my ankles and goats standing on my feet, I feel like I have no choice but to slow down and have a little cuddle. Nymph the goat is the youngest, and she grew up not really understanding the difference between goats and humans. Her mama, Moth, always let us babysit her kids when they were young, and she wanted some time to forage. She first had Bird, and she was very careful and wary to leave him alone. Then she had the twins, Moonbee and Paisley. By then, she trusted us completely and would walk her babies to our feet, let them fall asleep, and then go off and eat for hours. Then Nymph was born. By this stage, Moth trusted us so much that within the hours of birthing her baby, she would share the mothering with us, nudging Nymph into our laps, then disappearing into the bush before coming back hours later to feed her. For this reason, Nymph loves humans and still jumps into our laps for a cuddle every day.
Stop.
The next step is to cut a hole through the wood. This feels so permanent and scary, but also so exciting. This will be where the pipe for the runoff water will go. Although I think I pushed our drill a little hard and soon smoke started flying out.
I think I burnt the drill out and it's very upset with me, and it started smoking and smelling really bad, and then I got scared that it was going to burn the place down, so I brought it out to a little bit of bitumen, and I'm going to hope that it sorts itself out.
So I decided to leave it for a day and let the drill recover, giving me some time to charge the battery to full, and the next day I had success. Another coat of oil brought out all the beautiful natural tones of the hardwood. Then I cut a little notch in the back for the tap to sit in, and I started putting everything in its place. I love the combination of the indoors and outdoors in this space. The vines that will continue to grow up the wrought iron, the natural stone sink and the hardwood slab. I'm so happy and proud of how this project turned out. Thank you so much to our patrons for your support on our journey.